Hello, everybody. Welcome to another real estate agent, loan officer call with Aspire Marketing. And just going to give it a couple seconds here. We're seeing the tally go up. We are also broadcasting live on Facebook. So a couple of different ways that you guys can interact, certainly in the Q&A section of the screen. So we're just going to give it a minute or two to get into get everybody on. I'm going to launch this thing. Wow. All right. Well, let's do it. People can certainly check in on the recording. First and foremost, I want to welcome all of the new loan officers and real estate agents on this call. What I'll do is just do a quick housekeeping. We've actually had some very substantial growth in Aspire where just in this last 30 days. So first, I want to welcome all the newcomers here. I'll tell a little bit about the platform that this call, probably we're going to use in this call. But I just want to acknowledge the fact that we have had some serious organic growth in the last 30 days. Almost grown by a third just from the power of the loan officers and real estate agents in our community. You've probably noticed we don't do any advertising. This is not how we're looking to build Aspire's platform. Aspire is built organically through the members that we've got, both real estate agents and loan officers. We've got a lot of people, loan officers, talking to their branches about the platform, talking to the people in the office next to them, and real estate agents have really been sharing this with their coworkers, saying, hey, look, I've got this playbook and here's what it's going to do for my business and here's what it's doing for my business. So yeah, it's just been amazing. And first of all, I just want to acknowledge everybody and thank everybody for making those referrals to Jake and myself and the other members of Aspire. It's just been huge and game changing. So thank you for that. In a couple minutes here, we're going to have Craig Oshrin. He is an agent from Coldwell Banker out of the Connecticut Fairfield market. And we're going to bring him on, and he's hitting the ground running. His mortgage partner is Jay Telasano, very good friend of mine, someone who, for loan officers on this call, he has been on calls talking about how he is being in action around it. So it's going to be a real great treat. We're going to tap Craig in here in a couple of minutes and just kind of go through how Craig is using the playbook to go change the trajectory of his business, using it as a tool to doing that. I mean, he's up to a whole bunch of other big things, and we'll get into that as well. So the way that so again, back to the real estate agents. What I encourage you to do is share the book with your co-workers and refer them back to the loan officer in which you got the book from. Get them with a meeting, have the loan officer come in, share the ideas around the playbook, and I think that's just going to be some pretty big growth. Also, we have, for a purpose, kept these real estate agent loan officer calls open. In other words, anybody can come to these calls. You can invite coworkers. We also have a playlist on YouTube that are going to house all of the past calls. So feel free to share the playlist with other real estate agents in your marketplace. You're certainly free to do so. And don't keep us a secret, and we appreciate that. Just a reminder, the loan officer only call is the first Thursday of every month. The loan officer real estate call is the third Thursday of every month. And we're going to be adding another call as well. There's going to be more on that in the coming month. So the style of this forum is open. We want to make sure that people are free to ask questions. We love when you're in the ability to be in an area where Jake can upgrade you to a panelist, and we can see your face, hear your question, help you answer that question, or we will answer that question and make sure that you're totally complete by the time you wrap it up. So what I encourage you to do is, if you have either questions around what's, using the playbook, how you're using the playbook, if you've got success stories around how you're using it, something that, I just heard from one real estate agent that sat down with a builder the other day and walked away with 3 referrals. She probably wouldn't have been sitting in front of that, that contractor without the playbook. And man, she just, she did, I think, 7 or 8 deals last year, so she almost doubled could have almost, doubled her business for the year. Anyway, if you've got success, man, we encourage you to raise your hand. Jake will promote you, or if you just want to leave a comment, that's totally cool too. Jake has given me notes, so I'm just making sure that I'm not missing anything. Jake, how am I doing so far?
Good. I think you've covered everything that we talked about.
Well, training. Okay. Everybody has access to your own platform, your own dashboard. When you log in with your credentials, there's a training section in there. If you haven't already, I encourage you. You've got to go do it. Go check out the training in your training section. Mark Manieri, our co-founder and partner, has coached over thousands of real estate agents and hundreds of loan officers across the country and in Canada. He knows what he's doing. And so he has created this training for real estate agents. This is free, guys. The loan officer who invited you in has made a substantial investment to gain you access to this. So definitely get entrenched in it and spend the time on it. Loan officers, I invite you to go back and revisit it. It's just really great training to keep front of mind, and definitely use it. That is all I have, Jake. I think. Tell me if I'm correct or not correct.
You're correct. Thanks for remembering the training part.
I want to tap in my partner in crime, Rich Clayton. He's a co-founder of Aspire Marketing. He's going to be on this call with us as well. Rich, do you have anything to add, or are we good?
Yeah, no, I think you're good, Rick. I'm real excited to hear about this interview with Craig. So why don't we go there?
Yeah, so let me just set the table a little bit. Again, Craig was invited to the platform by Jay Telesano. I call Jay the OG of Aspire. He was one of the first loan officers that we invited onto the platform. He's a past coaching client of mine. And I just knew that Jay would put his head down and really be in action. He has done that. He has invited Craig to the platform. Craig has now taken the concept and has absolutely put it on steroids. And so, Craig, it's an honor to have you on the call today. I'm really excited for you to add a ton of value to everybody listening. Craig, tell me a little bit about your market, who you work for. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been in real estate now for 5 years, and I absolutely love it. I work with both the buyers and sellers. I have a lot of listings this year into the first quarter, which is really exciting. Staying consistently busy, but I'm noticing that a lot of what I'm doing revolves around process and always maintaining an every day, setting that clock back to zero again and continuing that momentum throughout the day to build value. And, it's kind of funny. When Jay put this in front of me, I was like, I love it. He presented the idea, the concept, took me directly to the Aspire website. It's very easy. I was telling Jake before we hopped on how easy it is to navigate. But what it's made me do is it's made me think in the back, and we'll get to sort of the value in it as it concerns buyers in the process, the buyers who are feeling overwhelmed, kind of dismaled by what do I do first? What's the next step? And this book really lays it out well. But the thing that really for me made me really take notice of this was that you get to put your service providers in the back and you have options. And it made me think that when you go and you're having a coffee appointment with a service professional, you're evaluating, should this person be in my book? Does this make sense? Is this somebody that I'm proud to have represented in my book as a value add to my clients, whether they've closed a property and I want to bring this back to them and saying, these are the people in the past 90 days that I've really vetted to take out the time. And I love coffee appointments. I love getting to know people.
Yeah, I want to get into that in a second. Yeah.
The value in that through this book. It's been a big help in helping me refocus and funnel in on the value for my client base.
Yeah. So one of the things you shared with me offline was coffee meetings. And tell everybody a little bit. So last year was a pretty big year for you to like get really focused on who you were going to have in your network and how you're going to leverage them and how they were going to leverage you.
Yep. So in 2017, I had 105 coffee appointments. Last year, I probably had about half of that, about 50. And through all those appointments, I got to meet a lot of people, and I got to very quickly understand who was going to fit into my network, my sphere, and how I was going to add the value.
No, Craig, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Tell me a little bit about how did you create those meetings? So there was a financial planner that you wanted to meet. Let's get a little granular here. How did that happen?
Okay, and I remember we were talking about this yesterday. So what I had done is I'd reach out to the people in my network that were service providers who I respected, who I had no questions about coming into this book. And I said, let's use Larry the plumber. Do you know a good plumber? Yeah, Craig, I actually do. And then I would connect with the plumber and I would say, hey, Larry, let's grab coffee. I'd like to get to know you and your business. And by the way, bring a bunch of cards with you and I'll explain why when we meet. We would meet, and in that first 5 to 10 minutes, if there was rapport building and I felt like a lot of the value that they offer to their client base was there, and I liked them personally, so it's like know, like, and trust, and then that level of a high level of competence is there, then I could add to that book. And what I've done is I've actually reached out to all the service providers that I've had coffee with that I've put in my book, and one of the things that I do is I circle around with them monthly. Hey, I just want to connect in. I want to introduce you to another service provider who's in the book. And so that compounds and it continues to grow.
So Craig, 2017, you didn't have access to the book. 2018, you didn't have access to the book.
Right.
And so when you sat down with these people, it was more of like, hey, we kind of know each other. And I like you. And man, if I ever come across someone who needs a painter, I'll think about you and I'll refer you out. Is that really how it was when you were doing those meetings?
Because you get to bring everybody in one spot, and it reminds you, because I have my book on me and then I have my other books that I hand out to my past clients, which we can touch upon when you're ready. But it allows me to actually be reminded of them daily, because we're in a very digital world. We're obviously connecting right now digital, and everybody's tuning in to engage and maybe learn and grab some information, some tidbits, right? But that's digital, and digital means that you have to do that work. Whereas if you have a book, right, you're able to go right to it, pull the information you need, pull that service provider and say, hey, here's somebody that you should connect with. So I always keep one of the books on me at all times to share with my network and continue to add and build that value and create that momentum that I've created.
Yeah, it's funny. You do keep the book on you all the time. I actually saw a post on Facebook that Jay put, and it was a picture of you having coffee with a service provider with the playbook and he was just in there walking in to get his cup of coffee.
That was just by passing.
Be an action around growth.
Yeah. It was a service provider that I'd put in the book. And one of the other things that I think to anybody that grabs, any realtor that grabs the Aspire book, is you can have one service provider in there. And Jay even said this very clearly. He's like, Craig, I'd love to be your only mortgage guy, but I don't have to be. You can have other professionals in there. The reason I'm giving this to you is I want you to continue to grow and build your momentum as a successful agent. And long term, that will selfishly benefit me, but take it, run with it. And so I took that idea that he had, and I have a few insurance agents, have a few attorneys, and I switched them out depending on who I'm working or dealing with, but they've all been vetted through me. And so that book that I have has everybody who I would feel comfortable recommending. Yeah.
So before the playbook, what did you do with those people? Did you have another type of book?
So, do you remember in the 80s they had the Rolodex, right? Does everybody remember that? I never really
I do.
I never really got to experience that as it once was, but I think there was a value in old school that needs to be integrated with new school social media platforms as we're connecting now. So I would use contactually. I would set up reminders that would come in, and that was good. That was all well and good. But when I have my book on me, it'd be like, Craig, do you know a plumber? All right, there goes Larry. Hey, let me connect you with Larry. Let me make that direct connection. And by the way, let me pull out my playbook and see who else I might have for you concerning other projects that you might need in the future.
So tell me a little bit about, would you say 11. So how long have you had the playbook?
I've had the playbook now for, I'd say, about a month and a half.
Okay. And you've got how many people in the playbook?
I have 11 service providers, and I've got about another 5 coming in the next 30 days. These are people that I've had coffee with in the past. Again, 2017, 2018, as you guys know, I was not short for coffee appointments. So it was easy for me to pull from those resources because I was having a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
So from that, I'm going to be adding another 5 service providers in the next 30 days, but I'm taking my time with it. I don't want to just put anybody in this book. I want to put people in the book where I feel that relationship long-term can be reciprocal, that I can add a tremendous amount of value from day one to that base of service providers, and that they can add, most importantly, the value to my current and past client base.
Yeah. Amazing. And so I'm looking this way because I have a screen here, and I'm gonna share my screen here in a minute. One of the things that I'll say about you is, man, social media, you're all over it.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I'm going to share my screen here. I'm just going to share people. And, I encourage everybody, if you're on this call, real estate agents, man, this guy knows what's going on. You can learn a lot from him, especially on the social media. I follow him now. Are you okay, Craig, with people?
I love my fellow agents. I love for people to connect with me. I mean, this is a business where you're either just surviving or you're thriving. And so I have a lot of systems in place, but there was a conference I was at one time, and there were a bunch of agents up on a panel, and they said to all the agents in the audience, please, nobody friend these agents because it could affect their feed. Friend me. I'm all about, building good relationships, and selfishly, if someone's outside of my area, maybe that's a referral they can make to me, and maybe that's a referral I can make to them. So it's always about building that network.
Love it. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yeah. So right there, again, you guys can't keep the playbook secret. And the thing I love about Craig is he's not. That's the last thing he's doing. So what is this? Is this an open house, Craig?
Yeah, that was an open house for one of my properties that's on the market in Norwalk. Beautiful home. Yeah. But what I did is that, and I don't know if it was flipped open to that. Oh, there's my son. So that was the property. But what's really cool about that book is that it actually has sort of this, I call it the Candyland route, as far as marking through the process. And I'm going to try to find it as you're doing your thing, scrolling through my social media. Here it is. So this to me was very important. So I leave this open at the public open houses. And the reason I do that is I like for the buyers to know that A, subconsciously I'm aware of the process, but B, I want them to feel more at ease, because part of the time, and we talked about this in my office, part of the time when buyers are going into these properties is A, they're either very just curious about the property and they're window shopping. B, they have a timeline and there's a certain amount of pain that they have to get moving in that certain time frame. But also they're interviewing agents. They want to find an agent who has a level of competence, who they understand can help, guide them through with a level of sanity in play. And so I put that out to say, hey, I'm aware of the process. Here's a value proposition for you if you were to work with me. And this is something that I give to my new clients that are qualified and that are signed with me. Most important, they have to be signed and they have to be qualified. And then when they do that and we meet for coffee, I then will give them the playbook with all of my contacts in the back. And I take out the time to talk about each service provider who I've gotten to know for these coffee appointments.
Yeah, it's funny. VJ Devine, again, a real estate agent out of the Boston South Shore market, linked in with Jeremy Devaney, one of my good friends. He said, he made a big mistake when he launched the playbook. He was giving the playbook out like he was Oprah, right? You get a playbook, you get a playbook, you get and he quickly, after he burned through the 20 and said, I got to go order more. He quickly said, you know what? I'm giving away so much value without a commitment back to me. Like people are coming in and they're talking to me at the open house or whatever. They're not signing anything, and it's not being effective. And so it's, we had a really good conversation around, man, this is like 60 pages of value that no one else has. Like that some people have a couple of pages or some idea around what the pre-approval process or the offer process is, but they don't have the whole thing. And more than that, they don't have all of the service providers that are also in here, right? So it's you got to hold this thing tight. and not allow it to go out unless you have a commitment back from the buyer. And listen, it's give, give, give. You're giving, right? They should be committing back to you. And so I love the fact that you make
I propose this idea. What if your past clients, it's another way to stay in touch with them, that you bring this book to them and you hand it and you say, hey, by the way, I know you've already gone through the process of purchasing a property, but I wanted to give you this so that you have the buyer's playbook, so that if you know anyone, family, friends, colleagues who might be thinking about working with a realtor, I know you would refer me anyways.
Right.
Maybe that's a wink. But by the way, in the back are all these service providers that I've taken the time over the past 90 days to really vet and run through, both online, in person, checking references, and I do that as well. I didn't want to overwhelm this conversation. But here you go. Here's the information. Feel free to reach out to any of them. And by the way, feel free to give out that book to somebody in your network who you think might find value. And if not, keep it on you. And in the back are all these service providers. And I think another way to hit your clients, to let them know that you're always evolving. I was good last year. I'm better this year. I hope to be better next year. And so this is what that does.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, let me know if I got to replenish that book for you when you find the next person and the next person. I think, man, brilliant. Tell us about this. This is a professional photographer, right? That you brought here.
Yep. So I have a social media photographer, and we did what we call Be Social on social media photo shoot. And the whole thing is that a lot of people are more voyeuristic these days. So I would just propose the idea, and this is kind of off of the playbook for a second, is, and maybe it does go to the playbook a little bit, is act from a level of being selfless and engage on likes, comments, and shares on other people's content. And it's amazing how your sphere naturally will just grow. And that's what's happened to my social media presence. I'm known as Craig O. And if you're seeing these bags, these blue bags, we actually created a philanthropic movement last year. It's a program. It's called the Fab Love Program. And through that, I just get all the businesses in. It's not about me gaining business from it, but it's about us collecting clothes and then refabbing these items and then showing Fab Love in our community of people who need, we call it hand-ups, not handouts. And that was a social media shoot. But to talk about that as you're scrolling through, there was a lot of, people do a lot of photos from their phones. So if ever you really want to up your level of photos, get a professional photographer to do some creative photo shoots.
Yep. Yeah, man. If you're a real estate agent on this call, I mean, even loan officers, definitely check out Craig's. And there's a bunch of other stuff down below, but it just seems like you're definitely, not sitting on the playbook, keeping it secret, but getting it out into the marketplace and showing people that, you've got it, right? And sorry, guys.
You're good.
Jake warned me, but no, he yelled at me earlier. He said,
it's real. It's live time. Phones do go off. I totally get it.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, again, you're not keeping it private. We're busy. Spring market's sprung, guys. Obviously. So, Craig, you've got your 11. You're going to add 5 more. Then you're going to kind of take a pause. You're going to be working to kind of bring together your group. You've already started to introduce people as they coming onto the platform. It seems, Craig, like you're starting to build your own little BNI group that you're focused around.
Yeah. I like to say that it's off the cuff, and some of the groups that I am members of are, I don't say anti-BNI, but I want something that has a level of consistency, which the BNI has brought. But it's my BNI always in my hand. I've always got it on me, ready to go and ready to make introductions, and always reevaluating those relationships in the back as they're probably reevaluating me as well.
Yeah. Tell me about your success so far. You've had it for a month and a half. You've had these conversations. Now, we did speak. You haven't. You're not using the service level agreement. And we talked a little bit about that. You're going to look at it, maybe see if it makes sense. But you're sitting there. You're having this conversation. Are you having the conversation around? I want to refer you, and you seem like a great guy, and we align with service level. And I'm looking for you to refer me when you hear the word real estate. How has that conversation been going, and have you gotten any leads from that yet?
Just got my first lead yesterday from one of the service providers that I had in the book for a buyer who's going to be looking in the next 6 months.
Yep.
So to me, it was exciting just to have that conversation. I let that organically unfold. Usually my appointments are about 30 to 45 minutes, and I always do a hard stop. And in my Google invite, when I send an invite to that service provider, or even my clients when I'm working with them, it's here are our talking points, and then here's our hard stop, and let's figure out at the end, is there a next best step? So yeah, I did have a result from it. Ironically, as of yesterday, I have a new buyer referral. They haven't yet been qualified, and they haven't yet gotten my playbook, and they're not yet signed, but that conversation has already started, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. Anything else you want to share with based on your experience and kind of anything you're getting from your community, your social media, any open house strategy that you're putting in place that you're seeing a difference in?
Yeah, so I think it's all about process and every day adding value. And this business will shine the light on great agents that are competent. But process is so important. So I've always kind of focused on, the process, promotion, and pricing. And pricing is really being competent in your marketplace and understanding values of homes, listed sales price, what's the absorption rate, to really have an intimate idea of what's going on. So I just propose the idea to my fellow agents that as we're growing our businesses, that we're becoming more competent and we're providing good information. And if you don't know something, I don't know it, let me circle back with you. But really, most importantly from the playbook, which just has really, the full process, it talks about purchase mortgage insurance. It talks about the different types of documents that a client will go through, that we'll deal with. It really familiarizes them with the paperwork as well as the process, as I like to say, with the Candyland piece of paper that you guys have in there. So it's great all over. And I think for me, I just want to connect with great agents in the area and outside of my area to continue to build my business, add value, most importantly, to our client base. But everything is centered around process and, relationship management, is important. So you have to always keep updating that daily so you're staying on your task.
Yeah, I love it. We're building a community here through Aspire. There's the Facebook groups. There's the Facebook partner page. Please, if you haven't gone and liked it, go like it. Go connect with Craig. See what he's up to. Follow his lead. He's been huge in action around this concept. He's starting to see the fruits of his labor. Listen, we've been upfront and honest with you. This is not a diet pill, right? You're not going to take this diet pill. What we are is a gym membership with a personal trainer. So you've got to do some work, guys. Life is, it's not easy. But when you're in action around it, when you're providing value, the business and deals will come. You just got to do it. You just got to be in action around it. And it's not hard. The way we've set this up and the success that we've had in the Boston market and we're seeing across the country is that if you lead with give and you go out there and show that you want to grow other people's businesses and it's going to, come back to you, it's such a cool way to go get business, create relationships. Build your relationships and the business will come. Craig, my last question is for real estate agents who are just starting off, just getting their books in the mail. Give me just one piece of advice that you would give to them to hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running. I think the first, 30 to 90 days should not be about you getting your first deal, but should you be about learning the competence, learning how to, do the listing paperwork, learning what the buyer process is all about, connecting with a mortgage professional such as Jay or whoever's in your office to really have them guide you through what it really looks like. And I think a lot of agents try to hit the ground running, and a lot of them do well, the ones that have been very successful, but take the time to actually learn and grow and really immerse yourself in the education before you start doing a lot of deals. That's my advice.
Well, and I would add that get out there and be in action. Be in action, start growing your list of people who you want to meet with, people who you feel would be a strong asset to your network. People that, again, have big databases of clients. I always say, starting with a CPA, financial planner, estate planner, insurance agent, and then start working off from there, and then start leveraging the people who, you could just tell that they're connected with really good people. Yeah, who else do you have? Who else can I speak with? Who else wants to grow their business? I want to meet with them. I want to have a coffee with them. I want to show them the playbook. If there's an alignment, I want to add them to there, and I want to be entrenched in there with their clients as well. So, Craig, hey, if I could ask you, if you've got time, stick on. I'm going to tap this over to Rich, and we're going to talk a little bit about the width game versus the depth game. But we might have some questions pop up, and love to call on you if you could stick around.
I'd love to.
Perfect. Awesome. Rich, it's on you, bud.
Hey, great. Hey, welcome everybody. Happy spring. And Craig, listen, I just want to acknowledge you. Man, you're a rock star. Thanks for coming on today and sharing with our community, real estate agents, loan officers, what you're doing. We love what you're up to. We love the passion in your voice. Really excited to hear that the playbook, having only had it for such a short period of time, getting it, using it, understanding it, and starting to see some benefit from that, and that is building your sphere and starting to get some referrals. And we hope that explodes 10, 24. Like, there's nothing more exciting as a founder of this company to see the lives that we're changing and the being able to move the needle in your business and work with great people like Jay. And it's just so exciting for us to see. So thanks for coming on board and sharing with everybody in our community, what you're up to. And we'd love to have you again on another call to hear more of the success that you're having and share with us, what you're doing and how you're using the playbook, maybe differently than we're doing in our own business. And, post that on Facebook and let everybody know about it. So thanks for that. Really appreciate it. Things when Craig and Rick were talking, I made some notes. I heard BNI, Business Network International. There are some similarities between, what our real estate agents are doing with their community of preferred business partners and what one might do in a BNI. Personally, I've been in one for about 7 years. I got out of my BNI about 3 years ago because I started going deep instead of the wide game. And for any of you that are in a BNI, whether you have 20, 25, 30, 40 people in that group, really at the end of the day, you're working with a lot of professionals that might not be professionals. They might have been first year in the business and they entered a BNI because they thought that was the only way to get to network and get business. And quite honestly, you're forced to work with the 30 or 40 people in that room. And what I found is being in a BNI, there was, 7 or 8 people that I felt comfortable enough, because, referrals my reputation, to be able to refer that person knowing that they were going to provide the level of service to my client that I think they expected. The other 75%, I felt obligated because they were either in the group or maybe they had referred me in the past, but, there wasn't alignment. There wasn't synergy about, how we run our businesses and, how we're going to treat our clients. So, that's some of the differences between the BNI and the homegrown building your community, because everybody in your community with the playbook are people that you hand-selected, you hand-picked, you have a commitment with. It's not casual like you might have in BNI, but you have a committed relationship with that person that they're going to honor service level agreements or an understanding of how you're going to treat one another's clients. So, there are some similarities, but there's definitely some differences. Craig, you had talked about, working with people that like, and trust, and, taking time to be with your preferred business partners. And as Rick said, you don't currently use the service level agreement. We do in our business. We found it to be very useful because it's another step or acknowledgement to being really committed with that person. When they create an agreement with you, whether it be verbal or in this case in writing, people want to honor their agreement. They want to honor their word. And when they sign a document, it just adds one more level of commitment to the relationship. I love the idea about providing the book to not only new potential buyers, but also past clients. However you can refer your community of people, the game is all about referring your community so they think of you every time they know somebody looking to buy or sell real estate. And, as you know, and I know Jay's doing this, 1003, which is our application for a mortgage, we see the borrowers, all their information, besides their credit, their income, their assets, but where they're invested. We make suggestions as to whether or not, you could use a CPA now that you bought a home. or you have money spread out all over the place. Have you spoken with a financial advisor? Well, in years past, we as loan originators have always given those referrals to people that we know in hopes that they would refer us. But now in working with our real estate partners, and Jay does this with you, is every time he refers a financial planner, an estate planner, a CPA, that are all finance related, like he's gonna be like, yeah, let me send you an email after our conversation, and I'm gonna introduce you to the best financial planner, CPA, insurance, whatever. And he's reaching out to you saying, hey, Craig, give me the name of your financial planner, your CPA. Listen, I wanna refer them for you, because you're a client. So, leveraging the client is something that we talk about all the time. Right now, you have 11 service providers in your book. I have real estate agents that have 40. I have real estate agents that have 60. I think Rick has one that has, over 70 preferred business partners in their book. And if you think about leveraging the client, and I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean that in a positive way. When a client comes to you, like you are the professional, you're the leader in this transaction. They're coming to you, buying a home, selling a home, and you're providing not only your services, but you're providing a list of people who are committed to providing a level of service to your client that is as good, if not better than you would. And better is probably hard to match because I know you do a fantastic job. But that is leveraging your client as an asset to the 30 or 40 or 50 people in your community. And that leverage comes back. Because if you have 30 people in your community that you're referring business to, and each one of them refer you one person this year, call that 30. That's 30 more referrals you're getting, but that's also 29 referrals that you can give back to the other 29 people in the community. So that's what I mean by leveraging the asset. And a lot of real estate agents, they don't do a really good job at that. And in speaking with some of my realtors and explaining to them about the leveraging of the asset piece, they're like, man, I'm doing my client a disservice by not doing that. And in turn, what that does is it generates, some congruity and referrals back to the real estate agent. So it's a two-way street. So, I want to talk about, for our real estate agents that are on the call today, whether you are just joining us for the first call or you've been with us over the last year in 2018, and that is the purposeful execution of creating your preferred business partners community to generate measurable, sustainable referral business. So what does that mean? It's building that BNI, that group of preferred business partners that, number one, you can count on, because when you refer them, they're going to do for your client better than anybody else that does exactly what they do. They're going to be the best plumber, the best financial planner, the best estate planner, like better than anyone else. And that's, what's going to separate them from everybody else. We're going to talk about the deep versus the wide game. I want to tell you a story. I met with an agent of mine this week. Let's call her name Susan. And Susan tells me, yeah, Rich, I've got about 2,000 people in my database. We talked about how we're going to reach out and contact and the different touches. And I said, of that 2,000, how many of those are, businesses, a professional service provider, whether it be home sphere related or other? And she said, well, there's about 200. And I said, tell me about that. She's like, yeah, well, I've got like 5 painters and I have 4 electricians and I have 6 people that do lead paint removal. And I went, hold on a second. So you have 6 people that do lead paint removal. You're currently doing about 10 transactions a year. Like, what is your relationship with each and every one of the people that do lead paint removal? And we started talking. What I uncovered was that all the relationships we had with most of these people were really casual. And, she talked about like her business is based on referrals. And I talked to her about like, where are you getting referrals? Past clients, friends and family. And she's kind of exhausted all those because she's been in the business for about 5 years. And then we started talking about like going deep with one or more in each category, financial planner, estate planner, landscape or whatever, instead of going wide, but taking some of those relationships with the 1 or 2 people that you really connect with, like that you're really in alignment with business, professionally, friends, like you would go out for beers or drinks or have dinner with, not feel as if you were obligated, or, we use the analogy like when your phone rings and you look down and you see it's this person, you go, oh, I got to talk to this guy. Like, that's probably not somebody that you would create a committed relationship with, but you find the people that you align with, that you could be committed with, and they would be committed to you, and really start to go deep with them. And when we started talking about the deep game, we started talking about like what we do with the playbook, sitting down with the client, leveraging the client as the asset, and being able to provide a list of service providers to our client that are going to do a phenomenal job based on an agreed upon list of, things that are important to one another. That's the service level agreement, and provide a level of service better than anybody else in the industry. And she started narrowing down her 5 to 1, or her 6 painters down to 1. And she's like, well, now I see the value of putting just one person in the playbook and going really deep with them, creating a committed relationship instead of casual, because we all have a lot of casual relationships. And she said, now I can see why, like, referring them and having a committed relationship with them, it might generate referrals in return. Like a light went off. And I'm like, Susan, that's exactly how it works. She's like, I am so excited to go back, look at everybody in my database, and start setting up meetings and have coffees and bring the playbook and talk about service levels and commitments. And I'm like, now you're on your way. She's like, I just didn't see that in the way that we talked about it before. And I'm glad you shared that with me. So, those are some of the differences, or the ability to transform, if you will, those relationships from people that you might have had just a casual relationship with to somebody who's committed, that is going to provide a level of service to your client as good, if not better than you would, and is going to think of you every time they hear the word real estate.
Yeah, Rich, I'll just jump in, because I think you're hitting the nail on the head with just this ability. Like, we talked about it earlier. It's like spotlight versus laser beam, right? It's where's the most power, and it's in that laser beam of, like, when you can really drill into that person, that and wrap your arms around them and really make them, like, bring them into your camp, right? There's a lot more, because there are some people that operate on referrals that, like, figure if they can kind of sprinkle 5 or 6 people and dilute, if you've got 5 referrals to send to a painter and you send them to 1 to 5, you don't really you're not making much moves there, waves, I guess. But when you can pick 1 and send 5 deals to 1 and get commitment back that they're going to refer you more, you're going to start to see a concentrated amount of people coming back from that person. And, real estate agents sometimes do it to loan officers, right? They'll refer out 5 in the hopes that, like, 1 person will send them a deal back. And I would argue that that's not really effective.
I have a cleaning lady who I refer. She's got a great crew. I've sent her 2 referrals already. Two things that she's done, and she just came up to me. She actually stopped by my house just to say hello this morning, and she said thank you. So for me, by the way, I totally understand where you guys are coming from, Rich, as a service level agreement. I see how it's going to work for some people. The reason I keep my book on me is I never want to forget what my verbal agreement is to you when I work with you, my commitment and my level of loyalty. But I totally understand where you're coming from. And it also brings new excitement back when you go back to look at your network, because there might be a past client who serves in an industry that I might be able to now refer because they worked with me. So I think that's important.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Rick, we talk about this all the time, and that is, the laser focus versus the spotlight. Great analogy. And, think about in our lives, like, we all know 200 or 300 people. And I would argue that 95% of the relationships that we have with the 300 people that we know are casual. And when you are laser focused on a select group of people, call that 30 people because it's an easy number for me to do the math. 30 people that know 300 people each is 900 people. people tend to move every 7 to 10 days, 10 years, excuse me, not 10 days, that would be a lot of moves. So, on a conservative level, if people were to move every 10 years, that means 10% of anyone's book of business, or 10% of all the people that you know, and everybody that you know knows, is buying or selling a home once every 10 years. So of 900 people, that means 90 people are potentially moving every single year of the people that are just in your sphere, never mind your friends and family and past clients, but just the 30 people that are committed to you. And if they thought about you 30% of the time, like literally that's 30 referrals that you would get, one a year from each referral partner, that you can now leverage out and provide those 29, excuse me, to everybody else in your community. So think about that. I get one referral from Joe the painter, I can give 29 referrals out to everybody in my group. If everybody in my sphere, in my community provides one referral, everybody in the group is also going to get 30 referrals in return. Like that is incredible leverage. And, doing the deep game instead of the wide game, creating those committed relationships is really what's important behind the relationship building. And, Rick said, listen, it isn't a pill that you're going to take and all of a sudden you're going to have 30 people and they're all going to be referring you 5 deals a year. And next thing you know, you're doing 50 million. It's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a little bit of time. But listen, we're in real estate. What than anybody else? We talk, we network, we communicate. Communication is the key to success. Networking is now done with a purpose, because you're not showing up to a potential business partner meeting or breakfast, coffee, lunch, beer, whatever, with what can you do for me? What you're doing is you're showing up with give. You're showing up saying, listen, I've got this going on in my business. I'm looking for a financial planner to send business to. I'm looking for a landscaper to send business to. I'm looking for somebody in your profession that does a better job than anybody else in my community that I can refer business to, and this is how I'm going to do it. And you get into the whole process of, sitting down with your client, showing the buyer's book, having the preferred business partner section in the back, and creating that committed relationship. Excuse me. And who is not going to be receptive to a meeting where you show up saying, I'm looking to give you referrals. Like I'm showing up with give and I'm just looking for someone that's really good at what they do. Like that's a great way to start a relationship with somebody. And for those people who, they've always felt like, yeah, I don't want to really call this person or reach out to this person because I don't have anything to say to them. Now you have an incredible thing to do. You have a gift to give them. And that is, I'm looking for somebody like you to give business to. And that's the beginning of a wonderful relationship. And, as Craig said, if you see some synergies, if you see some alignment, if you feel as if in the first 5 and 10 minutes, because that's about as long as it takes before you really get to know somebody, first impressions, go a long way. If this seems like somebody that you align with, then you start going deeper and deeper into how you might work together. And, if they just don't align with you, then, you had a great coffee, you met somebody and, keep my name and, I'll keep yours and you can leave on good terms. But, you're going to need to spend some time. We recommend 2 a week. So 2 meetings, hour-long meetings, whether it be coffee, lunch, dinner, beer, whatever, out of your 40 or 50-hour work week, 2 a week over the next 3 months, and then going back and fostering those relationships and, making phone calls, keeping in touch. A lot of our real estate agents do mixers, almost like bringing your entire community together. Could be once a quarter, could be once every 6 months, whatever the frequency you want. But that's bringing those people together. Let them introduce themselves to one another. You introduce, as Craig said, here, let me introduce you to my painter or electrician. Let me introduce you to my plumber. Bring everybody together. They start networking. They start passing referrals. And who gets credit for that? You do, the real estate agent, because you're the one that brought everybody together. So it's like B&I on steroids because they're all handpicked by you. So, think about the magic pill scenario that Rick talked about. It does take some work, but the amount of work that you're going to need to put into this 2 to 3 hours a week, it's really pretty simple to create committed, lasting relationships that are going to generate measurable, sustainable referral business.
Rich, let me just add to that because, VJ Devine talked about this, that he invited everybody, like really put a wide net out and had a business networking event that brought everybody together. So, like I said, I think he had almost 30 business owners RSVP. He had some weather he had to deal with. Half showed up. But out of those half, he met some incredible people that he was able to talk about the playbook concept and then break off into like, okay, here's a concept. Do you align with it? Are you looking to grow your business? Then let's sit down and create a coffee. And so I call that like a cattle call, right? That they bring everybody in, talk about the concept. And it's like, hey, if you want to be part of my playbook and part of my thing, then like bring me your business card. Let's talk. If there's alignment, we'll go meet, outside of this event. But if there's alignment, like I'd love to add you to it. And so now he's being proactive, right? He's got 7, 8, 12 cards. And now he's just booking his day up, meeting with purpose. Hey, I told you what the playbook. Yeah, here's what it looks like. Here's what it is. Here's what I'm committed to doing. And I'm looking for you to think of me every time you hear the word real estate. And yeah, it just becomes really easy to then do that. And of course, listen, everybody on this call knows how valuable that book becomes when it's filled with 10, 15, 20 people who you know and trust, right? Who are committed and who are going to serve the buyers in which you're giving the book to. It's like, listen, I have some agents that just use this thing as a playbook. And it's great that way. Like we've put a lot of time, money, energy into creating a valuable asset that a buyer is just going to have a really good experience with. But that's 25% of the value, and if you're giving out a book with no business cards in it, I just invite you to think about what would it look like if you had 10 or 15 people in there that a buyer could count on when they own their home, and what would that look like? I just think that however you're going to do it, however you're going to create these relationships, I love the saying, if you feel that business is built on relationships, make that your business. Yeah, we're just giving you that platform to do it. That's it, and an easy way to do it. So yeah, I think Rich has given some really great tips on that, and we'll continue to interview some rock star real estate agents that's going out and doing it. Again, we'll have VJ on again because he's up to some big things as well. But if we've got about 7 or 8 minutes, I'm going to kick it back over to Rich. But if anybody is on the call and has questions around getting started, questions around want to share something with us, you've got a couple minutes. Raise your hand. Jake will call on you, and we'd love to have a little bit of dialogue if you're moved to do so. But kick it back to Rich.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for those questions to come in, thanks for that, Rick. I love those analogies. Especially for the newer real estate agents that are on our call today, again, welcome. We're really excited to help you guys grow and see there's so many possibilities that you can use the buyer's playbook with. As Craig showed at open houses, picking up buyers or sellers, reconnecting with your community, whether it be existing, new, going out to friends and family and everybody that and asking them, hey, do you know a good plant painter? Do you know a good landscaper? Do you know a good financial planner? And, networking now with a purpose and leading with give. And, I urge you, if you have any questions, go to support@aspiremarketingsystems.com. Rick, myself, Jake, and Mark are always there to answer all your questions.
Kelly's there too.
Kelly?
She's on this call too.
Make sure that you join the Facebook page where there's a lot of sharing of information and wins and successes that real estate agents are having with the playbook. So we want everybody to learn from that community because givers gain, if you will. That's a B&I term. Go back to the training page, as Rick had mentioned. Listen to the training modules that Mark Neary had put in place. He's an incredible person, uses powerful language that you can learn from. If you haven't listened to him, listen to him. If you haven't listened to him recently, listen to him again. Make sure you download all the assets about, going out and creating a meeting, having an upgraded meeting. There's the brainstorming activity. If you're, thinking about like, who else do I get to put in my playbook that isn't there? We have a list of the top 50 that you should, consider, and then you're going to have your own. So, but at least start there. Like those are 50 that we identified that are very valuable for either in the home sphere. And remember, it doesn't have to be home sphere related. We've got real estate agents that are getting referrals from their dentist, their chiropractor, the person who walks their dog, the person who cuts their hair. Like everybody knows 200 or 300 people. You just got to connect with other business owners and let them know that you're always thinking of them, building that committed relationship, and they're going to think of you every time they know somebody looking to buy or some real estate. So don't limit it to 30. Like let's make it a game. Go for 40, go for 50. Why get one referral from 30 when you get one referral from 50? So that's all I have to say about the training. Go back to the website. Again, as Rick had said, share this with people We love the excitement that's happening, the growth of Aspire, the lives that we're changing, the businesses that we're helping, and we want to help more businesses. And we're really counting on you to, share with everybody other real estate agents, maybe loan officers, that what we're up to and that they can benefit from it. So I know we've got about 3 minutes left. Rick, why don't you take us home?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to acknowledge Craig, man, 5 years in the business, committing to, I think it was 105 cups of coffee, 110 cups of coffee in 2017, half of that in 2018, and then picking up the playbook and saying, you know what, I'm gonna really utilize this in my business to tie it all together. So just acknowledge you for being a rock star in your business, being a great ambassador for Aspire, and feel free to, if you have anything else to add.
One last thing. So I love this because again, your branding goes right in that second page in the book. But one of the things that I wanted to say is that this book, most important value that I could probably say all day is that it helps to keep your buyers on track through the journey, because buyers can get lost in the journey, and this keeps them organized. Aside from all the great relationships you build, there's a lot of great content in here. So I would definitely say connect with your mortgage professional to learn more. Let them show you their sample book so you can see if it provides the value that you need for your client base.
I love it, man. You're up to big things. Keep in touch and let us know if we can do anything for you. Jake and Kelly, thank you so much for, we just, like I said, we onboarded a ton of people this last month, and soon real estate agents will be behind that. So you guys got your work cut out for you, and we appreciate you, Jake and Kelly. Next time we gotta get Kelly up on screen too. We gotta throw her into this as well. Rich, you're a rock star, man. Thanks for being a partner. And everybody else out there, if we could do anything for you, please support at aspiremarketingsystems.com. Again, we're here committed to growing your business, both real estate agents, loan officers, and we'll see you guys next month. Take it easy.